You're standing on a floating bridge made of warships, praying it holds. Behind you, 200,000 men. Ahead, Greece. And the king just ordered the ocean to be whipped. This isn't a story about glory. It's about what happens when you march for a man who thinks the sea needs discipline. You're part of the largest army the world had ever seen. A living, groaning tide of conscripts and conquered peoples stretched across thousands of miles. You didn't join. You were taken, thrown into a war machine fueled by fear, barley, and divine ego. It's 480 BCE. The sun is boiling. Your guts are loose. The king hasn't missed a meal in his life, and now he's dragging you to Greece to settle a personal score. If you've ever been thrown into someone else's mess and forced to suffer for it, drop a fire emoji in the comments. You'll feel this one. They didn't call it Iran back then. It was Persia, capital P power. But the land, the dust, the heat, same ground, different name, still miserable. And you're not one of his immortals, not a noble, just another name never recorded, a body barely buried. Your name doesn't matter. You're a farmer from Pasargadae, or you were. You were supposed to plant barley and die quietly in your 30s. Then the royal governors came in, 481 BCE. They brought scrolls, soldiers, and orders from the so-called King of Kings, Xerxes. A man with gold on his throne and mud on everyone else's boots. Persia marches. And if you can walk, you go. Now you're a footnote in the largest army the world has ever seen. The great king spent 4 years preparing. Roads, supply depots, and flowery speeches about virtue and vengeance. All so you could spend 4 months starving, rotting, and praying to not die of infection. By the time you reach the western border, you're surrounded by hundreds of thousands. Persians, Medes, Bactrians, Scythians, Ethiopians in leopard skins. Officers yell orders in 6 different languages. Gold banners wave. The ground shakes. And even Herodotus, the guy who wrote everything, said, "There is no mortal man who knows the number of Xerxes' army." So good luck finding your friends in this mess. If you were noble, you'd have been shooting bows and getting spoon-fed lies about honor since age 5. But you learned to march the hard way by not getting trampled in formation. You're stuffed into one of the empire's neat little math blocks. 10 under 100, under 1,000. Orders trickle down like wine, but most are in Elamite, and you don't speak Elamite. Your gear? A linen tunic, a felt cap. If you're lucky, a strip of scale armor. You get a bow, a few arrows, a javelin, a dagger, and a round wicker shield. It looks like armor. It just doesn't act like it. The real protection goes to nobles and immortals. You pray you don't end up in front of them. And food? Picture this. Barley mush that tastes like dust. Dried figs that snap your teeth. Salted fish that burns your tongue. One guy broke a molar on a biscuit and just kept chewing. That was day 12. Everyone says Persian logistics are the best in the world. Sure, on paper, but paper doesn't fix gut rot. You march out of Sardis into silence. Through dead fields, empty villages, roads clogged with dust and regret. Thrace, Macedonia, Thessaly. The empire lurches forward like a dying animal. Morale? Gone. Feet? Bleeding. Rations? Half-rotted in carts or stolen by the hour. Then you reach the Hellespont. To cross into Greece, engineers had tied ships together to make floating bridges. They looked incredible until a storm snapped them like twigs. And Xerxes, he goes full tantrum. He has the engineers executed, then he has the sea whipped. Literally, 300 lashes, chains thrown in, priests screaming, at the ocean. And you're watching your king punish a body of water while you're starving. When they rebuild the bridge, it takes 7 days and nights to cross. You march across creaking ancient warships and cracking planks, hoping you're not the one who goes under. The sea doesn't care, the sun doesn't care, and neither does your king. Thermopylae is supposed to be easy, a narrow pass, a stone wall. Some Greeks. Xerxes sits on a throne, high and smug. He sends the Medes, then the Scythians, then you. You're whipped forward again and again, only to be slammed back by men who fight like death's the plan. Spears shatter, shields splinter, you stagger on ground soaked with the cost of this war. Whatever that means today. By day 3, even the immortals are gasping. Still no progress. The whole place reeks like wet iron and burnt meat. Then comes a traitor. Some Greek shows the army a secret mountain path. You circle around, you flank the Spartans, and then you murder them. 2 of Xerxes' own brothers die in that fight. Doesn't matter. The king calls it victory. You call it a meat grinder with a crown. There are so many corpses you can't take a step without crunching someone. One man falls and gets buried under boots. Not trampled, buried. The sun rises like nothing happened. And on you march. You make it to Attica. The Athenians are gone, fled to the sea. So what do? You burn everything. Temples, houses, statues carved with more care than your entire life's ever seen. Gone in hours. You watch the Parthenon turn gold, then black. The flames roar like wind. The heat warps the air. It's stunning and sickening. Some say it's justice for Marathon. Others whisper it's sacrilege. Decades later, archaeologists will find the burn layer beneath the Erechtheion. But you don't need archaeology. You still smell it in your sleep. You didn't conquer Athens. You erased it. Xerxes calls it divine retribution. You call it smashing a vase just to hear it break. You camp on the shore. The army stays on land. The navy, 400 ships strong, rows into the straits. Xerxes sets up on another golden throne to watch the Greeks lose. Except they don't. They bait your fleet in, then they strike. Greek warships, smaller, faster, ruthless, ram through your ranks. Your ships slam into each other. Oars snap. Men fall into the sea, dragged down by armor or caught in sinking decks. The sea churns, stained with wreckage and ruin. The sun reflects off the red like fire. You stand there watching the greatest navy in the world tear itself apart. Xerxes blames the Phoenician captains, has them executed on the spot, says it was their cowardice, not his strategy. Later, someone writes, "Our ships were choked. The shores and reefs were strewn with corpses." That wasn't poetry. That was your view from the beach. There's no victory parade, no songs, just fire and smoke. The bridges, gone. The navy, kindling. The fields, burned. Yours, theirs, doesn't matter. What's left of the army turns back, and you start walking. You're not marching anymore. You're decaying forward. Men drop mid-step, from wounds, from rot. You drink from black puddles and hope. You chew bark. You chew leather. You don't ask what the guy next to you is chewing. There are whispers that some turn to the bodies. You don't look. You just keep walking. Your feet bleed through your sandals. Your joints grind like rope. Every day is a gamble between starvation and infection. One historian called it a collapse, not a retreat. He was right. You once saw a stone carving near Persepolis. It said, "By the favor of Ahura Mazda, I am King of Kings. I am firmly ruling." Firmly ruling from where exactly? Because your king wasn't eating scraps in the dirt with you. His empire didn't include your suffering. You were teeth in a war machine, dust behind a throne, a name never written, a grave never marked. You weren't fighting for Persia. You were protecting a man's pride from cracking in public. They call it Iran now. But under the sand and bones and heat, you're still there, still forgotten, still marching. So yeah, next time life feels heavy, just remember, some people carried spears and sorrow through burning mountains. Not for honor, but because no one said no to the man in the cape. If this wrecked you like it wrecked me, hit like and subscribe if your spine still works.